Okay, everybody, good late morning. Hope you guys are still doing well. And we've got another offensive coordinator candidate to talk about. And I know I said I was done with the in-house candidates for the Seahawks, but as it turns out, I'm not, because yesterday we got word from Brady Henderson and a couple other sources that the Seahawks were beginning their offensive coordinator hunt, and they were going to start with 4 in-house candidates. So they did pick 4, like I said, but they didn't pick the 4 that I thought. John Benton was not included on the list of offensive coordinator interviews, and it seems like there's an understanding that he's an offensive line coach, and that's the way that it is. That's how I read it right now anyway. However, there was a 4th name on the list, and it's Mack Brown. So let's talk about Mack Brown. The little bit that there is to talk about, I'll admit that. All right, guys, hold up because my friends at Sleeper are introducing some new features, and I want to tell you guys about them before we go any further. Sleeper is launching Team Picks, a new prediction market product. So now, on top of all the over-unders you can pick over on their Sleeper app, you can now pick on games. For instance, if you take a look to my left on the screen right now, you can see you can make a pick on the Super Bowl. They also have some bonuses available on over-unders for players. So there's now way more stuff you can get up to over on Sleeper. Get on over there before the Super Bowl, and don't forget to use the promo code SBN for a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. And don't forget to utilize the free $20 entry that you get just for making an account. So the Super Bowl is almost here. Make sure you get on Sleeper and have some fun with sports. Okay, so if you don't know who Mack Brown is, I certainly understand. And no, this is not that Mack Brown. If you do know a Mack Brown, if you're a football guy, it's far more likely that you're familiar with the Mack Brown who used to coach the University of Texas. This is not that Mack Brown. So we have a lot less information on this Mack Brown. I don't even know how old he is. I could not find his age anywhere. So I just went with the question marks, and I believe he's young, but that's only because he's very inexperienced. So Mack Brown is getting an interview for offensive coordinator, and look, he's going to be one of presumably many candidates that gets an interview. I would not assume that he's likely to get the job, but it's worth talking about if they're actually going to interview with him instead of John Benton. So I'll go over the little bit of information that we have. So Mack Brown has been the tight ends coach for the Seahawks the last 2 seasons. 2024, he came in with Ryan Grubb and stayed when we got Kubiak. So 2 years he's been the tight end coach. Most recent year, I think we know, we had one really good tight end, AJ Barner, 52 catches, 519 yards, 6 touchdowns. He also did some stuff as a barnyard, tush push guy, and good blocking. He was a good player. AJ Barner was great for us, better than I think a lot of people would have expected. Really nice sophomore breakout for Mack. I'm sorry, for AJ under the tutelage of Mack. And then in 2024, which was his first year, the primary tight end was Noah Fant, who did give you 500 yards, 48 catches, decent season, but not really much of a blocker. And AJ Barner was a rookie in 2024, and he had a pretty decent rookie year. 30 catches, 245 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now, that's really about it. In 2025, we had Elijah Arroyo, but he ended up not doing that much, so there's not much to say yet. And in 2024, we had Pharaoh Brown, who ended up really not doing anything. So that's really all we have to go on when it comes to him as a Seahawk. Now, we don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. We don't know the kind of impression he's leaving on the other coaches. It could be very positive. In fact, I would hazard to say it probably is very positive, and that's the reason why he's getting some consideration here. But if you're just looking at him as a tight ends coach, you would say that he did a good job, right? Because AJ Barner developed from a 5th round pick to a really good rookie to a really good sophomore and somebody who helped the team win a lot. Even though he didn't put up monster numbers, he's not Trey McBride, I get that, but this is great development for a player that could have easily been kind of anonymous in the NFL. When we drafted him, I expected him to be a decent player, but I didn't expect him to be this good. So AJ Barner, that's his claim to fame here, and it's pretty good. But that's it. Because if you want to go to before he was with the Seahawks, he was with the New York Jets. So he was with the New York Jets coaching staff under Robert Saleh, and before him it was Adam Gase. And nothing from here really looks all that good. I'm just going to go ahead and be brutally honest here. There's not a lot here to get excited about. From 2021 to 2023, he was a New York Jets offensive assistant, and all 3 years, the Jets had a bottom 4 offense in the NFL, basically. 29th, 29th, 28th. If anything, they actually got worse with each year that went by, if you go by points per game. This was the Zach Wilson Jets for the most part. 2023, they had Aaron Rodgers for 4 plays, if you'll remember. And EPA is just as bad. They had the worst EPA in the league in 2023. And then in 2022, it was 30th. And then in 2021, it was 26th. So terrible, terrible results for the Jets offense during this time. Now, if we peel it back to 2019 to 2020, he was the defensive assistant coach. So he went from defense to offense, which doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen occasionally in the NFL. Unfortunately, this was when the Jets were coached by Adam Gase, and they were pretty terrible on both ends of it. And during this 2-year run from 2019 to 2020, the Jets defense was really bad in 2020, the COVID year, almost 29 points per game allowed, 27th in EPA, and they were average in 2019, 22.4 points per game allowed, and negative .022 EPA, which was 14th. So average. So there's nothing from here that you're all that proud about. This 2019 season as a defensive assistant coach is the best he has. Everything else is kind of atrocious. And we don't really care about the defensive assistant stuff anyway, because he'd be an offensive coordinator here. So what does that mean? Of course, what does this mean either, right? Like offensive assistant, we don't know what that means. We don't really know what he did. All we know is that he was on the staff for 3 awful seasons. So the 2 years as a tight end coach here in Seattle, yeah, I'd say he did a good job. As near as we can tell, he did a good job. Is that enough to get him offensive coordinator role with play calling? You wouldn't necessarily think so, but again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And that's it. There's nothing on his resume that I can list here from before his time with the Jets. So it's thin. This is a thin crust pizza right here. I ate it the best I could, but there's not a lot to say about Mack Brown's resume. The last 2 years, I'd say he did his job. No problem. But when you stack him up next to a guy like a Jake Peetz or even a Justin Outen, it's thin. So I don't think we're going to go this direction, but that's Mack Brown. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon. Let me know what you think of Mack Brown, if anything. And go Hawks.